Listen, Brad, put your shirt back on. And Monica, tuck your ass cheeks back in your spandex. And while you're at it, why don't you throw on another plate and do another set of glute bridges, okay? Okay, I'm going to get right to the point. Something I rarely do. You must suffer. What do I mean? If your goal is to reach your absolute genetic potential with your level of muscularity, or if your goal is to get absolutely freaking peeled and shredded to the bone, like exposed abdominals, deep crevices in your muscle bellies, striations, vascularity, just look freaking ripped, peeled, shredded, and unbelievable. Any of the above, you must suffer. Nobody wants to hear that. I experience this weekly. And what's really disheartening when it comes to this concept of suffering, call it what you will, discomfort, misery, all of these things are a part of the work process, the level of consistency with which you perform on a daily basis to obtain a goal that you rarely see achieved by the overwhelming majority of the population. You could make a strong argument that people who are willing to suffer in order to achieve a physique goal are among the 1%. You could make a strong argument to that. And I can attest to that being a coach for 30 years and working with so many people from so many diverse backgrounds. What people don't want to hear is you must suffer. And there are people out there that capitalize on weakness and use it as a unique selling proposition. So, Mr. Shirtless Brad, the Instagram influencer, is going to try to tell you, with his freshly tanned and oiled physique and his rippling pecs, that you can achieve the same results as Brad, Shirtless Brad, only if you prescribe, subscribe, purchase, or whatever his revolutionary training protocol. Same situation, you've got Monica, the glistening fitness bunny, who will tell you all about her amazing program and how she cares about you and is willing to help you as soon as she finishes her last set of Romanian deadlifts with her ass cheeks hanging out of her spandex. Listen, Brad, put your shirt back on. And Monica, tuck your ass cheeks back in your spandex. And while you're at it, why don't you throw on another plate and do another set of glute bridges, okay? See, it's really not very sexy to advertise pain or suffering, which is precisely what I will often do. And I'm not immune to people backing away from this style or methodology of training and dieting and sacrifice and deprivation. But I have always said, I'm going to tell you what it's going to take the overwhelming majority of you in order to achieve the goal that you have in your head, that extreme physique. I often say and use this phrase, and if you watch or listen to my stuff, if you can tolerate it, thank you. If you are regularly doing so, you have to be the freak in the room. And what does this mean? That doesn't mean some 300-pound steroid monster. This means that, back to the original point of this entire video, is in order to achieve an above average level of muscularity, which having an above average level of muscularity is not a natural process. It's not something that humans were put on this planet to do. So it's going to require a substantial amount of work beyond what is generally normal to achieve just good health and fitness. But there are so many out there who are striving to achieve this genetic, a beyond genetic level of physique enhancement. And that's fine. It's fine. So we can take advantage of training methodologies and nutrition strategies that we've learned over the last 60 years and put them to the test in order to achieve the physique, which is, the image of yourself at your absolute best and leanest and most muscular, that image that you have in your head. We want you to be happy with your reflection at the end of the process. But understand, once again, being the freak in the room doesn't just mean, your overall freakishness appearance. It means being a freak in everything that you do, because that's what's going to separate you from the herd, from the sheep. The culture of laziness that we are completely drowning amongst today. So when I say be a freak in the room, in order to be that freak, there is going to be suffering and there is going to be sacrifice. And if anybody tells you differently, they're lying to you. Now, clearly, there are genetic outliers out there, genetic freaks. And sure, if you're 25 years old, it's going to be a little bit easier for that person to get muscular and lean and fit. But once again, for the overwhelming majority of us, it's going to take an incredible amount of hard work, far beyond what is perceived or even known as being normal. Being the freak in the room means you're at your work break room and Sally has a birthday. Yay, Sally. So everybody pours into the break room and you are invited. You got the inter-office memo. And you're told today there's going to be a chicken nuggets tray and there's going to be cake. Well, when you politely decline the fried seed oil nuggets of fake chicken and their accompanying poison sauce, and you say no to the slab of birthday cake, it's nothing personal. You're being the freak in the room because you're probably going to be the only one that declines because you have set a goal for yourself that is far beyond what most people set for themselves. And you understand that it's going to take an unbelievable effort, both in training and nutrition and discipline and recovery and all the things, to achieve what your goal is. Being the freak in the room is walking into the gym and not checking your phone every 37 seconds, not taking a selfie or recording your last set of bench presses. Being a freak in that room is going to be walking in with blinders on, knowing that you're in there to eat lightning and shit thunder and do whatever it takes to push yourself to the absolute limit and even beyond during that training session in order to not only compensate, recover, but overcompensate and grow.
Everybody want to be a bodybuilder, but don't nobody want to lift no heavy ass weight.
So you're going to go in there, kill yourself, suffer for a brief amount of time, and then you're going to get the hell out of there. You're going to feed that muscle, and you're going to let it grow. So you're the freak in the room. There will be suffering. Listen, I may have told this story. I don't recall, but I'm sure I have. When I was competing, I knew that in order to compete against my peers, especially in the NPC, National Physique Committee, I was going to have to suffer. And I'm glad I did, because otherwise I wouldn't have a handful of class wins and a couple of second places that I was very fortunate to have earned through that suffering. But the story is this. In the last 4 to 6 weeks, minimum, of my contest preps, and I can say this from my 2019 preps all the way up through my 2021 competition preps, if you two have walked into my kitchen at any point, you would have seen 3 large Yeti coolers, the biggest ones they make, in my kitchen on the kitchen floor with padlocks on them. I am not shitting you. Contained within those 3 coolers was everything in my house that I was not allowed to eat, which was practically everything. Okay? So in those last 4 to 6 weeks, and even though I'd technically really been dieting for almost 24 weeks and really cutting hard for 12 weeks, I mean suffering and still killing myself in the gym, I was suffering in my diet. And it was absolutely necessary for me to do so. And there were others out there whom which I would be competing against who I was sure were suffering as well. And when we showed up on show day, you could tell the ones who had suffered and the ones who had not. In order for me to achieve a deep sub 10% level of body fat without being sauced to the gills on all kinds of boutique-y, performance enhancing drugs and diuretics and insulin and all these things that some that I competed against may have been using, I knew I had to outwork people and I knew I had to suffer more. And that's okay. I was willing to do that. That's the way I was brought into this sport many, many, many years ago, almost 3 decades. I understood that in order to achieve an above average level of muscularity and then whittle that down to being as lean as you possibly can to achieve that look, and you know what I'm talking about, you were going to have to suffer and sacrifice. And it became not so much what you did consume, which was meticulous and well thought out and planned and calculated and tabulated and notated, but it was also going to be what you did not consume. And you have to have that understanding that if you wander into the kitchen and nobody else is looking and you eat one M&M out of the candy jar, it counts. And you have to have the mentality that every bite does count, because it's that mentality that carries you through the suffering and ultimately to the prize, which is presenting the best possible version of yourself, whether it be on stage or at the family reunion or at the beach trip or on the cruise, or just because, damn it, I've been spending so much time providing for others that now I'm going to do this one thing for myself, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and I'm going to take myself to a place that I've never been before. And you'll be so happy once you arrive there. I talk about my bar napkin mentality, and I'm sure you've heard this story as well. I often talk about this when I'm interviewed on other people's podcasts or YouTube channels, and I talk about this with my consultation clients. I do a lot of consultations. If you want to talk one-on-one with me and sort all this shit out, sign up for a consultation. It's on my website, link below. The bar napkin mentality. If I met a stranger, if I met you and we had not previously met before, and we stumbled upon each other in a bar, and I invited you to sit down and have a small amount of whiskey with me. I like whiskey. All right? Chill. And you asked me, Rob, what are the key components, the key elements, the absolute musts in order to achieve my absolute genetic potential, the most muscularity I can achieve with the genetics I was given, and then whittle that down to the leanest, meanest, most shredded, peeled version of myself that I can be? I would say, okay, that's easy. Number one, I want you to train as hard as you possibly can in the shortest amount of time. Super high intensity, carrying sets to failure, pushing yourself to a place you've never been before in the gym. And I want you to do that roughly 4 days a week, and then give adequate emphasis to recovery, because that's when the muscle actually grows. Then I want you to really go after a strict animal-based diet, hyper carnivore, lots of meat, lots of eggs, things of that nature. And I would spell that out. And then I would say, make sure that you're giving yourself adequate time to rest. And then you want to pay attention to the environmental factors and the X factors that go involved in all of these processes, getting adequate sunlight, staying away from excess blue light stimulation, avoiding excess stress, blah, blah, blah. It's a simple list, one that I could jot down on a bar napkin and hand you and say, here it is. Here are the 4 or 5 things you need to do. And you would look at that and say, well, that's easy. I can do that. Okay. It's not the list. It's the navigation of the list. It's embarking on that journey consistently on a daily basis, hourly basis, or even down to the minute basis, making sure that you're doing everything to the letter that has been prescribed. Because the greater level of consistency and consistency of effort that you have towards that goal, the more you're going to achieve. And every little thing that creeps in is going to be a detriment and pull you back. So it's about navigating the terrain. That's more important than the roadmap. The bar napkin was the roadmap. This is what you need to do to achieve success. But it's getting out there and navigating a harsh terrain and navigating those elements and those obstacles and those things that may cross your path that present a clear and present danger that you must fight your way through on a daily basis. And you know what all of those things are. We are living in the greatest temptation culture of all time. Everything that we do is working against us. You can't go to Home Depot and buy a fucking screwdriver without being tempted by candy bars and soda and chips and bullshit right there at the checkout counter. So it's as much saying no and being a freak in that room as it is the things that you actually do that are going to be beneficial. You got to do both. So I knew when I was competing or whenever I wanted to achieve that best potential that I could, I knew that I couldn't have that bite of this and I couldn't have this and I couldn't have that drink for this period of time, because I know that I've carved out that period of time in order to achieve the goal. And that needs to be the mindset at all times. Unfortunately, in this world, people think, if I just hire the coach, I'll automatically lose 10 pounds of fat and put on 5 pounds of muscle just by giving him the credit card number. True story. I'd never mention any names. And to each his own. I'm fine with that. But I just had a new client sign up in my gold package, which is everything. It's training, cardiovascular prescription, meticulous diet prescription, Zoom check-ins, Q&A constantly, all kinds of other stuff. You get it all. He seemed pretty freaking motivated. 2 weeks in, he quit and hadn't completed one workout. Not one. Never followed through with the macros recommendation. Did not do one step of cardio that was prescribed. I can't do the shit for you. But I will damn sure put on the freaking Braveheart war paint, roll up my sleeves, strap on my boots, and go to war with you. I'll tell you everything I know. But you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to be the one on the battlefield swinging the axe. You must suffer. And I know this video just seems like a big motivational speech, but it's not, because motivation is bullshit. You may be super motivated after you turn off this video if you make it all the way through it. And you may be motivated for 12 hours, 24 hours, or even 72 hours, but ultimately there's going to be a day where you're going to wake up and that motivation is going to be waning. Something is going to present itself in your life that's going to suppress that motivation. And it's in those moments that you still kick down the freaking door and get work done that defines you. It's those moments when the journey gets the hardest That's when you have to fight the hardest. You must suffer. Let me tell you something. In order to get, for guys, if you want to get deep sub 10% body fat, women, you want to get sub 15% body fat, which just so you know is damn lean for a woman. You're going to have to sacrifice for a season. You're going to have to suffer. And it's about periodization. It's about planning everything throughout the calendar year. And there's going to be a piece of that calendar year that's going to be devoted to suffering to achieve the goal. But here's the thing. If you're one of the few that make it to the goal and did everything that was asked of you, and you truly suffered, you're going to be absolutely thrilled and overjoyed to a level that you've never experienced before with the result. And you will not regret 1 minute of the suffering, of what you sacrificed, of what you didn't eat, of those early mornings or late nights or hard afternoon gym sessions, or those days that you would have rather do anything than strap on your shoes and go do that 35 minutes of cardio or whatever, and avoiding all the temptations that always continually cross your path, being the freak in the room constantly. You're not going to regret 1 damn minute of it. You're going to grow from it in ways that you could never possibly imagine. I'm beyond competition years. I'll be 55 years old in November. Bring it. And while my goal isn't to be 6% body fat anymore or 230 pounds, my goal is to be lean, fit, strong, healthy all the time, ready to attack anything that crosses my path. Muscle is life. I know that beyond anything else. Feed it clean nutrients the way nature intended you to eat, and sacrifice the temptations of this fucked up world, and set yourself apart and be that freak in the room. Someone is going to tell you, oh, you don't have to suffer. If you suffered during that contest prep, you were doing it wrong. If you suffered during that dieting phase in order to achieve that goal, oh, you didn't have to do that. You should have hired me. You wouldn't have to suffer. Well, I'm sorry. My marketing technique is not very sexy. And I know it's not going to appeal to everybody. And I know there's only a small segment of you out there that are actually willing to suffer a little. And if that's you, then you're just a different breed, and you're the person that I want to get to know. You must suffer. And if you are not willing to do so, then just back off a little bit on whatever that goal is. You need to find that balance of here's what I'm willing to do, and here's the trade-off of how I'm willing to look. Some may say, hey, I'll put up with a little bit of body fat, not quite as much muscle in order to, eat what I want or enjoy life a little bit more or go have those few beers and whatever. And that's fine. Hey, whatever works for you, whatever makes you happy. But if you're coming to a channel like this, or you're getting in touch with a trainer or a coach like myself, and you want to achieve something nearly fucking superhuman, let me go ahead and tell you one more time. You must suffer for a period of that time. And I'll reiterate it also one more time, that if you can make it through that crucible, you'll never regret what you went through. You'll actually emerge from that experience a stronger human being than the way you were when you entered in. And it'll change your life forever. So there you go. You must suffer. It's not difficult. Once again, the prescription is simple. I could fit it on a bar napkin. It's the application every single day. That's the challenge. So set yourself apart, embark on your goal, and be that freak. We're done here. That wasn't so hard. Hey, listen, if you need any coaching, that's what I do. Go to robgoodwin.com. If you have any questions about it, shoot me a message, an email, whatever. Be happy to do what I can. Leave a comment here, subscribe. That would help a lot. Helps us get the word out. The last 4 videos that I've uploaded have been as successful or more successful than any 4 in a row that I've ever done. So I really appreciate your support. And I've got so much more planned for the future. And I look forward to sharing more information with you and hanging out with you here on this crazy YouTube platform. So, if you're one of the freaks, then you're probably ready to get the hell up out of your chair or out from behind your phone or whatever medium you're watching this on and go get something done. And I support that message. Once again, guys, you know the drill. Train hard, diet harder, but above all else, do whatever you have to do to have a great freaking day. Checking out. Peace.